What do you think of this conversation at the moment around Ozempic? It seems like it's just exploded in culture. I mean, the share price of the company that makes Ozempic has gone through the roof.
Yeah.
In a way that I've just never seen in biotech before.
Yeah.
It appears that there's no apparent side effects. If you ask people, they struggle to take any side effects. But I actually think I saw you make a video about it. If I'm
No,
on
I have
Instagram.
a lot to say about it.
What are your thoughts on Ozempic? You crossed your arms. Are you going to get yourself in trouble?
Well, I'm trying not to bang the table.
Okay.
But first of all, we have a massive obesity problem, and we don't have any good solutions. And so something comes along that's an injection you can take once a week that makes you not hungry and bypasses your normal biological mechanisms, and you lose weight. That's a huge, attractive thing. And that's why Novo Nordisk is the biggest company now in Denmark. It's the biggest part of the GDP of Denmark. I don't know if they even allow it in Denmark.
They're the people that make Ozempic.
Yeah. People that make Ozempic. And recently the CEO of Novo Nordisk, who makes Ozempic, publicly said he was getting calls from processed food manufacturers very concerned because their market share was dropping, and they were very concerned that it was going to affect their business. Think about that. So I think Ozempic is effective. It works with a natural part of your biology called GLP-1, which is something your body makes, and we can make more of it by doing lots of different things, from certain probiotics and bacteria in our gut to certain foods, to certain ways of eating. But the effect of the drug is very strong.
Just for context, for anyone that doesn't know what Ozempic is, let's give them some context.
Well, it's a drug that was first used for diabetes. And then it works by acting on a pathway called GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide 1, which is just a pathway, and it regulates insulin function, it regulates weight and appetite. And so it really works to help with blood sugar, but the side effect was weight loss. So it was like we studied Viagra for blood pressure, but the side effect was it helped men with erections. So it was like, well, it's like kind of like that, right? It was like, wasn't designed for this, but it actually had the side effect. And, since obesity affects so many people, there's now 2 billion people on the planet who are overweight.
So you take this injection, and you basically, your appetite drops out, so you don't feel as hungry.
You don't feel as hungry, and you can feel nauseous. You can throw up. You can not want to eat, and people stop it because of the side effects. So those are short-term side effects. So the plus side is that it works. It's effective. It has some metabolic benefits when you lose weight, which can help your health benefits. I don't think it's the drug that's having the health benefits, it's the weight loss. But there's a lot of downsides. One, it costs a lot of money. So if you were to put everybody who's overweight in the country on it, it would be $5.1 trillion. So it's an enormously costful drug.
How much does it cost?
Like $1,300 to $1,700 a month.
$1,300 to $1,700 a month.
A month, which is like, probably 1,500 pounds or something. It's a lot of money every month forever, right? When you stop it, the weight gain comes back unless you really rigorously change your lifestyle. So it's not a lifestyle change program. It doesn't help you change your behaviors or habits. It's a pharmacological appetite straitjacket. And that can be effective if some people really need it, they need it. If some people are massively overweight and they don't want to get a gastric bypass, I think it may be okay. But here's the rub. 1, you have to take it forever. 2, it's expensive. 3, most of people are not aware that not only do you lose fat, but you lose muscle. So about 50% of the weight you lose is muscle. And muscle is where your metabolism is. It burns 7 times the calories as fat, and you need it for longevity and health. And so when you lose muscle, your whole health declines. It's the center of your health. And it's very tough to get that back. So you have to really increase protein, and you have to hit the gym hard with weights if you're going to be on a drug like Ozempic. Longer term, and that can be managed, but most people don't, right? That can be managed, and you need to be tracked with DEXA scans and body composition testing and really know what you're doing, because it can really mess you up. And then you lose the weight, but then your metabolism is slower at the end of that process than it was before you started, because you've lost your metabolic engine, which is your muscle. The other thing that happens, and we're now seeing this because it's not been around that long, right? There was an article in the New England Journal years ago that said, be sure to use new drugs as soon as they come out before the side effects develop, right? And so now we're seeing 2-3 years out, serious side effects. So, in medicine, when we see an effect of 20 or 30% on a study, we go, that's a great thing. Statins lower heart disease by 20 to 30%. Great. Number one drug in the world. The side effect profile on this is scary because bowel obstruction, which is not a trivial thing, essentially where your bowels stop moving and you need surgery to release them, is increased by 450%. Pancreatitis, which is not a fun condition, which is where your pancreas becomes inflamed, that affects your digestion, it affects your insulin, it affects everything, and you can die from it, is increased by 900%. So these are not trivial things. There's other side effects, kidney and so forth. So I think the longer this is out there, we're going to see more and more consequences of this drug. And I think it misses the real issue, which is how do we fix the problem causing this? It's not an Ozempic deficiency, right? Like this is weight gain and obesity is not Ozempic deficiency. It's because of our toxic environment, lifestyle, food system, lack of exercise, environmental toxins. It's complicated, and it's not an easy fix. And it requires policy change. It requires us to rethink our agricultural system, our food processing and manufacturing system. It requires massive education for people on what to eat. It requires us really to make wide-scale change in our society, which is going to cause significant loss for a lot of companies. I mean, like I said, the food industry is the biggest industry in the world. It's $16 to $17 trillion a year industry. That's bigger than the GDP of most countries. Or I think of the entire United States is I think 16 trillion. So it's a big industry with a lot to lose, and so there's a lot of pushback about changing the things that have to change for us to become healthy. So taking this drug seems great, and I think it's got benefits, but it's not just a risk-free solution.
It's funny because it feels like it's a window into the future of how we're going to treat things like obesity. Because the price...
Hope not.
Well, play this forward. The price is going to come down because more companies are going to release very similar iterations that cause the same effect on GLP-1. The price will come down so quickly. There'll be this kind of price race. I'm sure, I imagine Ozempic got ahead of the pack because they ran the clinical trials, so they invested all that money, which means they got approved first.
Yeah.
That window's going to close. And then the price comes down. And then, I don't know do they prescribe it here? Can doctors prescribe?
Oh, sure. Anybody
Ozempic?
can prescribe it, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So it can be subsidized by your insurance or something?
No.
Oh, it can't be.
I mean, most insurance won't pay for it. They might pay for it if you're diabetic, but for non-approved indications, they typically don't pay for it. Now, there's Wegovy, which is the approved version, and some insurance will pay, some insurance won't. But it's not something they're excited to pay about.
Interesting. Why? Do you know this with those side effects that you named for linked to Ozempic? What is it about the drug that's causing that? Because I was wondering as you were saying it, so I was like, is that because people start eating less, or is it the chemical itself?
No. It's the effect of the drug. It thickens the bowel wall. It has effect on the gut, so it is working on the gut. In a lot of the hormones and the metabolic functions of the gut are affected by Ozempic in ways that change its function and slow the emptying and do a lot of things. So eventually, it seems to cause problems for a lot of people.
Interesting, because the narrative out there is very positive at the moment. These drugs come along and it's like there's no side effects and they're super
millions of dollars of advertising and billions of dollars of revenue at stake. So nobody's talking about the bad side.
Interesting.
And by the way, they're thinking of giving it to 5-year-old kids, which is just terrifying to me for life.
I do think with these things, there's no such thing as a free lunch, is there, in life? So
no.
I think we'll eventually figure out what the trade-off is.
Yeah.
And then people can decide for themselves if the trade-off is worth it based on their own circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, listen, people are like, I want to lose 5 pounds. And I don't think that's a good idea. If you're a severely obese person, you have severe health conditions, you're really struggling to get going, can it be a helpful aid? Absolutely. Should it be given to everybody who wants to look good for a party or a wedding? Absolutely not.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.